Unihertz Jelly Star is a tiny smartphone with a budget price and decent rugged credentials. When I say this smartphone is tiny, I mean it literally. The company calls it the world's smallest Android 13 smartphone. Its height is a little more than 3.7 inches, and with the earpiece speaker and the touch buttons taking some space, the display size is 3 inches diagonal. The small display has a resolution of 854 by 480 pixels, which would be scandalous on a regular smartphone, but the tiny Jelly Star makes it work. In use, it looks fairly good, even crisp, although it can struggle a bit in the sun. But that's an issue with most budget phones. It remains easy to work with, but things like texting can be a chore. Interestingly, while this phone is smaller than others in length, it outdoes most smartphones in thickness. At 18.7 millimeters thick, this one could give most classic rugged phones a run for their money. The translucent cover at the back provides a visual of the phone's back and interiors. It also holds small but fairly bright LEDs that can work as notification lights and create a pretty cool effect. Users can customize the LED options through a widget on the screen. It only has a limited number of options, but works fairly well. Considering its thick design, one would imagine that it holds a large battery, in line with conventional rugged phones. However, it disappoints on that front, and the battery is only 2,000 mAh. To be fair, the battery capacity is more intuitive for a phone this size, but it is limited nonetheless. It can last a day if used sparingly, but heavy users might find that the battery drains out fast. That said, people who watch a lot of videos or spend a significant time on gaming aren't the target users here. The small screen size makes that clear. However, should you indulge in these activities, the octa-core MediaTek Helio G99 processor and 8GB RAM can offer decent enough performance. As for other specs, the phone comes with 256GB internal storage, has room for dual nano SIM cards, and has some nice touches like an infrared port, a fingerprint unlock system, NFC, and the ability to use USB OTG. It has a USB-C port, but only allows charging at 10 watt, so it takes its sweet time charging. There's also a 3.5mm audio jack, which is increasingly rare for mobile phones these days. There's a customizable red button on the side, giving users more freedom and convenience. However, a long press of the button is dedicated to switching the flashlight on or off. The 48-megapixel main camera is acceptable for the small budget phone, even though it offers barely average performance. Unihertz offers other phones with a similar form factor, though with different features. Jelly 2 and Jelly 2E are older models with memory at 4GB RAM and 64GB storage. The Jelly Pro, despite its name, is a much older model in the early generations of this phone and is limited to 3GB RAM and 32GB storage. Unihertz Atom is another old variant, built in the traditional style of a rugged phone with a Corning Gorilla Glass screen. None of these phones have 5G and are limited to Verizon and T-Mobile only. Overall, Unihertz Jelly Star is a well-built and decent rugged phone suitable for those who want a tiny device that can fit into small pockets, utility belts, or those who simply prefer a tiny phone. To sum up what we like is the attractive pricing, the USB-C charging port with OTG, the user customizable button on the side. There is almost no bloatware and the good set of features. On the downside, the 2,000 mAh battery feels too low. It's not 5G, only 4G LTE, and no clear IP rating. Our ratings for features is 8 out of 10. Build quality, 8 out of 10. Battery, 7.5 out of 10. Ruggedness, 7.5 out of 10. Value for money, 8.5 out of 10, for an overall rating of 8 out of 10.